Hello, and welcome back to this, albeit belated episode of the podcast. And this time I actually have a good excuse. No, I don't actually. No, it's not my fault. Technically, I missed one of my days off because a kid got sick from the Navy, so that was fun. I could have one uploaded yesterday, but I didn't because scheduling sucks. Anyway, this fits perfectly though because I do actually have a week off from the Army. So that's just nice. So it gives me plenty of time to pre-record some podcasts in case a scenario like this happens again, where I lose my day off, which happens a lot, which is dumb. Anyway, oh god, I'm out of breath. It's been not even a long day. It's been great so far. I've recently got in Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memories that was released a couple of days ago. I don't remember. I got it yesterday and I've been playing a lot of it, and I really like the game so far compared to the Persona Dancing Series 1. It's so much more better. I hate the Persona Dancing game, and when I mean hate, I don't mean like absolutely hate it. They're still fun games. Like some of the remixes are really good, but Persona 3 and 5 dancing games, yeah, there were, I don't want to say bad, but oh my god, there was a reason why they had a price permanently put down. It's like, why? How did you screw up? Because Persona 4, the dancing game, was actually quite good, but Persona 3 and 5, something went wrong on the way, and it's weird. But actually the Persona 4 one I actually enjoyed quite a lot, even though I had the same issue DLC wise, like why do you overcharge them, Atlas? Like Atlas and DLC are like one of the worst combination ever, because like, oh my god, Atlas is such a greedy company. I guess it must not be their fault. Maybe Sega has something to say with the DLC pricing, but I have no idea, and we will never know. And either one of the reasons I'm not a big fan of Atlas anymore, but that's like a conversation for another time. It's something that can take a lot, but that's just me. Heard the news, Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne is a really good port. Not on the Switch though, everywhere else is fine, but not on the Switch. I have no idea. It's a bad port apparently, but the thing is, I don't really care for Nocturne. I don't know why. Shin Megami Tensei seems boring for me. And I'm getting off topic. I want to talk about something that really makes me happy, and that's video game music, music in general. But the thing is with music, for me, it's such a weird topic because back then as a kid, I barely cared about music in general. It was like never my cup of tea, and back then, as a child, is weird because like I don't remember much like what the hell did I enjoy, what the hell was I good at back then. It's weird. Even though back then I did play video games, I never considered it as a hobby like I do now. And that all changed though. That all changed when I got Kirby Triple Deluxe. And it's weird because like when you think of great music in video game, Persona is actually the thing that comes first. But for me, even though I got into Persona before Kirby, I never, like, the soundtrack was good. I remember listening it to some time, but it never captivated me unlike Kirby Triple Deluxe, which is one of my favorite games, and the soundtrack for that game is, like, phenomenal. It was my first time hearing the works of Jun Ishikawa and Hirokazu Ando. It was my first time listening to it, and it's really good. Like, it was my first time ever listening to Green's Field, or what you call it, like the opening one. Such a cute song, and I whistle, and that's also a game that made me whistle a lot. Like, I'm like at school and in general, I'm known as the guy who whistles a lot, and I'm the one to toot my own horn, but I'm really good at whistling. You should listen to me. But anyway, it was thanks to Triple Deluxe that got me into video game soundtrack as a whole. It made me appreciate it, and the thing is, I want to show that appreciation with this podcast. And in general, if you go to the descriptions of the 2 videos I uploaded and the rest of the podcast, you will see I try my best to put the right credit to the right people when it comes to video game music, because like it's like someone made this soundtrack, and then most of the time they go underappreciated, and I want to show like, yo, this is the people who make this music, and it's amazing. Learn how to give credit, that's what I'm saying. But as a whole, Kirby Triple Deluxe soundtrack, for me, there's like so many good themes. Like, remember one of them, Reflected Laughter. It has another whistling part which I love to whistle, so I remember just blasting my headphones with that track specifically because it was so captivating. It fitted the mood of the area so well, like the circus, and then you have the mirror reflecting in the background. It's so nice. And obviously a really good track from the soundtrack is the Fatal Blooms in Moonlight, Queen Septonia's battle theme. Is like, holy crap, it fit the mood so well. Like with Kirby and its lore, like if you read the story, like the pause description, it's like, it's such a sad tale. It's weird. And then like in the soundtrack, the official soundtrack was released through the Club Nintendo or something. It features like 3 like bonus track called triple bonus tracks, I think. One of the tracks is called Midnight Moonlight Forever Sleeping Flowers, like an arrangement of it, and it's like, it's so good. And ever since listening to Kirby Triple Deluxe soundtrack, even playing the game like hell, Triple Deluxe, I 100%ed it 9 different times, and it's insane. But ever since playing through Triple Deluxe, 100%ing it, my love for soundtrack kept growing, and then I went back to past games. And I remember again, Professor Layton, obviously, Tomohito Nishiura, I think his name is. Again, listening to the tracks with open ears this time and an open mind when it comes to music. Just opens so much. I replayed past games and it's like, Professor Layton, another one, like Pandora's Box main theme, like the live orchestrated one. It's just like, it's so good. And then you have other underappreciated tracks like The History of the Town. I'm guessing the titles of soundtracks, by the way, because I don't remember clearly, but I don't remember all of them by name, which is sad because I'm someone that does that. It's just like so good. And then you have Lost Future soundtrack, which actually is, if I had to rate all of them, Lost Future actually ranks second to last. Like the last one for me is definitely Curious Village. So it's like not enough track, and it's the first game in the series and all. But it's like my favorite one is definitely Asrian Legacy. Second one being Miracle's Mask. And then third one being Diabolical Box. And the fourth one being... what the hell? I'm trying to remember all of them. Why am I rating the soundtrack of the games? Because like, what I'm trying to say is they're all really, really good. Also, Lost Spectre has a really good soundtrack, which I played this game this year. Which is weird because the last Professor Layton game I played through the rest except for that one. Also, you have Catriel Layton, which I did like, but I never beat in it for some reason. The puzzle feels off, but I still like that game. And I keep burping in this, and that's something that will never stop because, like, when should I record this? Let me just have lunch first and then start recording, and that will never go wrong, trust me. Anyway, another game that had a soundtrack that really amazes me was Poké Park, Pikachu's Adventure for the Nintendo Wii. It's not a deep game by all means, it's like a really cute game, and the music fits that, like the beach zone area and the Middle Plaza, what the hell, I do not know how to pronounce it, like, instrumentation wise it's not that deep, it's not that complex, but they're really good and they're simple. Like the Flower Zone one, I love it. It's like, and it thanks to the ambience that helps it a lot, like the beach sound, and then you have the Pokemon screams, like cries I should say. It's just like, it's good, it makes me happy listening to it, and it's just really good. That's what I'm trying to say. Video game music in general is like really, really, really good. Another soundtrack that I only got appreciation after was Gold Vacation. And it's weird because, like, I mentioned this before, but like Gold Vacation doesn't outright have soundtrack. Like when you go around the island, you only hear it in certain spots where there's like a radio. And that like, and you can hear it through the song that is like, oh, it's being filtered with this weird radio thing. It's like, it's still good, and there's like so much vocal track. It's weird because most games don't use vocal track because they want to save some money. But like with this game, it's like, let's make remixes, let's hire some composers for Gold Vacation. Like, how popular is like the Wii Ski series that like deserve this amount? I have no idea, but apparently it is. I actually have no idea how well Gold Vacation still, like, it was ported for the Switch. I guess there is a following for that game, but I just don't see it. And Gold Vacation is my favorite game, but other than that, the game also have like instrumental tracks that only plays through every time you start a new zone, and then you talk with Lily. That's it. And those little moments of music, they're really good. So yeah, I'm telling you this now. It's just gonna be me saying, "Yo, this is really good." Like sum up in like 5 words or less. It's like really, 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 really good music. That was 6 words, but still. Another game, and also, there was never a genre of a video game that I was ever good at until I played Project Mirai for the 3DS Deluxe, which features Hatsune Miku, the Vocaloid games. There you go. I can just sum it up like a Vocaloid game. Back then, I was never into Vocaloid because like I had this weird mentality that said if it's not a real person singing, then it's not real music. It's like, that's such a narrow-minded view. Don't get me started. I wanted to slap myself as a kid. I wanted to do that a lot. It's like, that was just, it was just dumb. And anyway, I just bought Project Mirai because like, yo, this looks cute. And that's it. And I bought it and I played through the rhythm aspect. And I'm like, yo, this soundtrack is good, but I probably will never listen to it because like it's not real music. And then I said, this is dumb. It's really good music. It's still music. And it was the first time I ever heard the work of Toma and Pinocchio P, two of my favorite Vocaloid producers. Like, I don't know, why did we call them producers, by the way? Can someone explain that to me? Why didn't we just call them musicians? Like, they make music, they make lyrics. Yeah, it's a musician. I'm gonna call them musician from now on. They're like really good musicians. I'm so fucking sad for Toma. Where is he? I miss his work. I need some new tracks. And I want to buy his Eureka album so much, but like, I'm scared of spending more than 100 euros. And I'm like, even thinking of spending money on soundtracks of whatever, really, of music. I finally got the volume 2 of Final Fantasy 15 soundtrack, and I'm like, I am such a happy bird that I bought it. Like, I wanted to buy it for such a long time, but then like I saw the price and I'm like, does it justify purchasing it? And then thinking about like like shipping price, and like, was it worth it? Is it worth it? Long answer, fucking yeah. Such a cool like the packaging alone is really cool. The art that comes with it, the little plaid flip, it's like, it's good, it's worth it. I'm so glad I finally got the 2 game soundtrack, like the volume 1. And it's weird, like the first video game soundtrack I ever bought is Final Fantasy 15 because it was so random. I was just going through my local video game store online page and I'm like, yo, what kind of other Final Fantasy 15 crap they have? And then I just wrote Final Fantasy 15, and one of the first things I saw was like soundtrack, and I'm like, for real? For real? And then I bought it and it was like only 30 euro, well worth the price. And then it just shipped and I'm like, yep, this is so worth it. And it's weird because I remember I was only halfway through the game and I love the soundtrack that much. It was also my first time ever listening to Yoko Shimomura's work, so it's like, I'm not surprised, and I bought it. And it was like, and it's weird because I said to myself, okay, you probably should not go over the first disc or even the second disc because there's like so many other tracks you have not listened to the way it was put in the game, which was worth it. Because then I did the Leviathan fight, and then you had those Apocalypse Aquarius, and like, it was worth it. Short answer, it was worth it. And then you have the DLC music, which even better. And then you have the Royal Editions music, which even better. And I'm like, yep, justifies it so much. Overall, I think I spent 100 euro if I put them two together. So like, it's worth it. And it's like, and I know some people would be like, oh, but like, you can just purchase it digitally, can you not? I have no idea if you can't actually. I should Google this. And for me, it's like, I still want them to show, like, I love the series, I love this game so much that I will go the extra miles. And I'm so sad that you could, like, the only way you can get Triple Deluxe soundtrack is through Club Nintendo, which I think it's discontinued. I'm not that up to date with a lot of internet crap. And like, and I have no idea how far they go for Amazon. It probably is not small. Another series that had surprisingly good music that I never paid attention to as a kid is definitely Pokemon, and I mean Diamond and Pearl more specifically. It's weird because with Pokemon, I was never really into it. I remember, okay, the first generation, I remember nothing because I was never into it that deeply. Generation 3, I remember my brother having a copy of Ruby, and I did play through it into the Elite Four one time, but never got through it. And then I remember Gen 4, Diamond. I had a copy of Diamond. Or was it Pearl? I don't remember. And I thought I was into it, but turns out I barely got through most of the game, which is weird. And then you have Gen 5, which Gen 5 was one of the first gens I ever beaten by myself, which was Y2. Like, my game store had a copy of it, and I'm like, I'm buying it. And then I played through it, and I'm like, it was good, but I don't think it's like the best generation out there, which is another unpopular opinion at the moment, even though it is going to change in a year flat, trust me. So, and I played through it, and it really got me, and then I played through X and Y. And again, it's like, and it was, no, that's a lie, because playing through X and Y really clicked on me. With Pokemon, it was such a fun game, and the music is especially one of them. And I played through X and Y's after Triple Deluxe, so that just makes it, whoa, that was a weird spike. That was weird. Anyway, and since I played Pokemon X and Y after Triple Deluxe, for me it's just like the soundtrack is music. It was the first time I ever heard of Shota Kageyama's work as well, and like, he's such a great composer. And then you have the Ruby and Sapphire remix, which I also really like, and the music, it was just like amazing. Even though the remake, it's not the remake soundtrack wise, it just takes the same note. It doesn't try anything drastically. But I will have been annoyed by it, but the thing is, they added extra tracks, not in the original game. But it's like, yep, that's worth it. Like the nighttime flying theme you do when you have Latios and Latias, that's like such a nice soundtrack. I think you call them the illusions of the sky or something. The word illusion is somewhere in there, and it's really, really good. And then you have Dioxys. No, how should I get into it? And then I played through the past generation. That's where Generation 4 had a really good soundtrack. And when I mean good soundtrack, I just mean Jubilife City theme. It's such a simple, jazzy song. But in general, Gen 4 really has good soundtrack. Like Hitomi Sato, I think is one of her best work. Like Eternal Forest theme is like, wow. And then you have the rendition featured in the anime, which is like, oh wow. And there's some root theme. I don't know the numbers of the root theme. I think it's like Route 218 or 2816. Like I know it was done by Ichikawa Ko. Is it? I don't know. It's a good track. I'm just saying. And in Pokemon in general is one of the series that has a consistently good soundtrack. Because Sword and Shield has an amazing soundtrack. I'm still waiting for a release for that soundtrack. They usually come really close of the release of the Pokemon. But since Sword and Shield got DLC, that was delayed by a year. So I'm just like waiting for this soundtrack. It's like one of the few soundtracks that also gets digital releases as well overseas. And I'm like, it makes sense because they're really, really good. And then another series that really had good music, and it was after Triple Deluxe, was definitely Fire Emblem Awakening. It was one of those others impulsive buying for me because like I see it in my local game store. Well, why not? So I bought it, and it was the first time I ever listened to Hiroki Morishida's work and Days Gondo. And he's like, no, it wasn't the first time I heard of Rei Kondo. It was the second time. That was through Okami, which also has a really good soundtrack. But I'll get to that. And then I played but Hiroki Morishida's work in Awakening and in Fates. It also features another composer, which I only know the first name, which is Takeru. I completely forgot his name. Trust me, I'm not really good with names. All I'm saying is Awakening and Fates have amazing soundtrack, especially Awakening. One of my favorite themes in Awakening is definitely Monstrosity and Mastermind. They're so good. They're so good. But then speaking of Rei Gondo, I also played through Okami, which I only grew on bigger appreciation after Triple Deluxe when I finally started paying attention to music in general, because I completely forgot. I brought out Vocaloid and I completely dropped the subject because and what I'm trying to say is video game music are great and you should definitely always credit it when you use them in your video. I'm just saying, like, there were so many times where I listened to a video and I'm like, yo, the music sounds really good, and then I go in the description, I see nothing about it. I know most people will say, like, when you're making like a comment or videos in general, if you use video game music, you would barely get any copyright issue because like it's video game music. They're not as popular or as big as regular music. I guess. What am I saying? But you know what I'm saying. So most people don't credit them, and I'm like, such a shame because sometimes if a video is bad, like, or really boring, like I remember, I think it was The Right Opinion. I used to watch his video a lot in the beginning, but afterward I got bored with most of them because it was topics that I didn't care. And then the way I knew I was bored of it is the fact that I realized, oh hey, it's Persona 5 soundtrack in the background. The fact that the music he played in the background was more interesting than the video itself, like, that means something went wrong. I mean, it's just me. He still does great content, supposedly. I have no idea, but like, side note, what I'm trying to say is just credit your composed music you use in the background if it's from video games, and if you give the title, that's enough for me. But if you also say who makes it, that's even a greater plus from me. And recently, a soundtrack that blows me away is definitely from Kingdom Hearts. I got into the series this year. I mentioned it in my second podcast, I think it was, or the third one, where I talked about Kingdom Hearts, and it was like the second time from my exposure to Yoko Shimomura, like for the first 2 games, but playing through Birth by Sleep, where you had from 2 others, Ishimoto and Sekito, I think their name is. Their name, 2 others, like, they're like, wow, they're like, the soundtrack as a whole is amazing. Even though I think the first game's soundtrack is weak compared to everything everywhere else, I still love them all, and that was a weird me breathing. I have no idea how to control my volume. Anyway, I'm playing through Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memories, made me realize music is amazing. It's so good. I love Melody of Memories. I'm gonna save it for another time because I'm almost towards the end. I'm in the Kingdom Hearts 3 section of the game, and I am looking forward to it. It's like, the game is good if you like rhythm games. I'm waiting for the story aspect. I think it comes towards the end, obviously. But the little story bit you get from Kairi summarizing the past games, like looking at the past games graphic and cutscene made me like, I want to play through the first game again. They're so good. I think it's good. I played it this year and there are good games. And I'm waiting for I think it's possible, because for the Kingdom Hearts 1.5 remakes and 2.5 remakes, they were made for the PS3. By all means, it's possible to port them to the Switch. Is it not? It will probably run slow compared to the PS4 version, definitely, but it's possible on the PS3. I'm waiting for them. Another series that has really good soundtrack is Zemini Kidekara's Uprising. It was a game I played before Triple Deluxe, so I never really thought of it, but after Triple Deluxe, obviously, it opened up to me. But my first time ever listening to Midori Sakuraba, and he's a really good composer. And it was the second time. First time I also listened to Masafumi Takara, and then I heard his work in Danganronpa, which is like the sole composer for that series, other than Mikumi Okada's vocal track for each game. He's a really diverse. A lot of these composers are really diverse as well compared to most other composers. In the West, and I guess everywhere else, most people, when they think of music, they think of vocal track, and they never think of the instrumental songs. Sure, some people listen to Beethoven or Mozart, but I don't listen to them. They're boring. They're 10 minutes long, but still. And most people would never when they think of Beyonce, they only think of her single lady, she made them, there's no one else behind it, but and you would think it's only one person writing it, but maybe behind, there's one person writing the lyrics and one making the background music, and that's it. But most of them feature 5 different people, and for me that's it gets muddy after a while, because I'm not trying to gatekeep music, obviously, but for me it's did you really need 16 people to write one album? That's a lot of different people, especially if it's for one track when you have more than 6 people in it. For me, it feels it gets muddy, and then you have repetitive track. It's it just seems weird. That's just me, though. It's popular, I guess, for a reason. People do enjoy it, and I do have my guilty pleasure with music. I still listen to Lady Gaga and Britney Spears. Sometimes they do make good tracks nowadays, and it's but honestly, 16 people, that's a lot for one track. Not one track for one album. I think it was Lemonade. For me, it feels weird. I guess if I actually listen to that track, that album, and I see, it's because there's different composers, I doubt it telling you that now, but side note, if you like listening to that stuff, more power to you, but everywhere else has pretty good music. And then you have people who feel if it's not in English, then there's no point. Vocal is a really good example of it. And the vocal scene has its own issue. I think a really good song by Wawaka, Unhappy Refrain. Also, sucks what happened to Wawaka. I really miss him. Anyway, side note, where most people will recognize Hatsune Miku for the track calling it her song is for me, it's weird. You should probably not say that because it's really false, but most people don't care. They just want to listen to good music. And in the end of the day, if you just want to listen to music, hell, go for it. I will never stop you. But when you want to talk about it or go more in depth of it, know who made what, you know? And then you have people spreading false information about a track and stuff. And then you have people feeling a good example is definitely who the hell made Gomene Kikyo, I think that's how you pronounce it. Let me just get it right, because in general, him alongside Marutu and Kikuo, I have no idea how to pronounce the name. Those two, it's weird because every time I look at the comment section of one of the songs, I always get people saying the lyrics are so bad and so gruesome. Why will anyone listen to it? But the thing is, they're complaining because why this song is so good, but the lyrics are so wrong. Why do I enjoy something like that? But the thing is, it's not about it's not a bad thing to enjoy a track that has really dark lyrics. In my opinion, you should like acknowledge them, like, yo, this stuff happens, and it's bad to shun it away or try to hide it that it doesn't happen. And I feel like songs like that bring up a topic and you can discuss it and also say, yeah, this is a really good track, by the way. And I can fucking say this better, but what I'm trying is, if you like the way it sounds, even if the lyrics is gruesome, listen to it. And also, it should never reflect the person. I'm someone who believes critique the art, not the creation, like the creationer, the creator, that's the word I'm looking for. It's like, you see like this post on Facebook. Okay, who uses Facebook? I have no idea who. I used it shamefully, not at all, but still. Where it's like, oh, you enjoy this piece of artwork? It was done by Hitler. You enjoy an art by Hitler. How do you feel? It's like, you can distinguish the fact that the creator and the creation are two completely different things. Like, you get a golden star from me, because like, if you can do that, like, you're smart. That's what I'm trying to say is. And like, especially Marude, like, where there was this drama with him and this ex-girlfriend that got ugly, was like, looking past that, he still makes really good music. And there was like, yeah, what I'm trying to say is music is great no matter where you're listening. Anyway, I want to go back to the vocal, like the last thing, because like I mentioned it twice and I never tell my full story. I remember listening to Vocaloid tracks and I did not know they were from Vocaloid. Like, my first track I ever listened to was Matroshka, and it was a cover, and I never knew that until I played through Project Midai, and I'm like, oh hey, I never knew that. Well, then after we're playing through Project Midai, and I'm like, I'm into Hatsune Miku, and then I got into, and then I bought a PS Vita for my friend for like $100. Not worth it, because like, the PS Vita, it's a sad creation. It could have been one of the best consoles ever, but like, Sony screwed that up badly. Like, really, really badly. That fucking memory card being, it's like, why can it not be a separate SD card? But whatever. I'm talking about the Vita. I'm talking about Project Diva now. And that made me realize, like, rhythm games are hella good, and it's like one of my favorite categories of video game. Just Dance is also one of my favorite games as well. Like, I want to get into the newest one, but I've already spent enough money and I have a spending problem, but that's a side note to the left. And what I'm trying to say is Project Diva, F and F second, and it's X, which is like the best game, by the way. Project Diva X is my favorite game in the series, just saying. Are really good. They're like really good rhythm. And then you have Future Tone, which is also really good. And then you have Mega Mix, which I also bought for the Switch, and I'm so glad I have like a really, like, there's two really good rhythm games on the Switch right now. I know there's more, like I heard Demo and Voice is pretty good, but the thing with Voice, I think they added it as an update. I don't remember, but I remember playing the demo when I first got the Switch, because like I was looking for a really good rhythm game for the Switch and I heard a Voice. But then I played it, and then when I first pressed the timing button, and then it did not make a different sound, it just went on with silence. For me, that feels so off for a rhythm game. Anyway, now I realize this. If I mention so many crap, there's so many different subjects, and put them all in the description. No, in the tags. How bad will that be? Because I'm mentioning so many crap. Does this even make sense? No, it does not. And wow. I need to calm down. Not ashamed though. What I'm trying to say is music in general is a really good thing, and it's one of my favorite aspects of life in general. And there's like, oh, I need to know how to breathe in this. And what I'm trying to say is music in general is really good. No matter if you listen to stuff from the West, from the East, wherever, through video game, and also anime music is really good. I completely forgot. One of my favorite anime, Future Diary, has an amazing soundtrack. And that doesn't even get into opening and ending themes of fucking anime. Wow, I'm gonna stop here. Or what I'm trying to say is music is good.